A Detroit Lion has been called out by another player, and not in a bad way. Not what you're thinking. It's not bad at all. Amon Ra St. Brown has issued a challenge to Jahmyr Gibbs. Are you ready for it, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
All right. He has gone on Friday on ESPN's with Eric Woodyard, revealed a challenge to Gibbs from Lions wide receiver St. Brown. If Gibbs gets 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season, St. Brown will buy Gibbs anything that he wants. So I guess my question is, what would you ask for?
Yeah, that's right. Well,
because it's so easy to do.
It's so funny because so he wants, say that again. They both have to get no. I thought one had to get
Gibbs
1,000 yards
himself needs to get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. And I know what you're thinking. Is that even possible?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's been done 3 times.
Oh my gosh. Who do you know who or no?
I do. Of course I do. All right. Roger Craig in 1985 for the San Francisco 49ers. He ran for 1,050 yards and caught 1,016 yards.
Wow.
All right. I bet you could even guess the next 2 names. Just think of one of them's playing right now.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Well, great guess. No.
But Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. Absolutely. Christian McCaffrey in 2019 for the Panthers had 1,005 receiving yards along with 1,387 rushing yards.
Ooh, what year was the other guy?
The other guy was 1999.
Oh, geez.
He reinvented the running back position. He was the guy that was like,
Marshall
you know what?
Faulk.
There it is. Thank you so much. Most yards from scrimmage, I believe, in a season. 1,381 rushing yards with 1,048 rushing yards first, receiving yards second.
Awesome. So, that was fun. We got to do that more often.
Little fun stats.
So, what's cool about that is you hear those names. I don't know enough about Roger Craig. Again, another great name. The Craig name is just, it's everywhere. The more you
look, people with the name Craig, it means something. It's different. It's a sign of class. It's a sign of integrity, and it's a sign of extreme athleticism.
But don't forget about Craig's List. It's also got some black eyes out there. Craig's List.
Yeah, but it's also a fun place for kids. Craig's Cruisers.
That's true. It's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on for an obscure name.
I would say if you're in company with like you said, it's just one of those things like Marshall Faulk, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I didn't really believe in Christian McCaffrey, but it's like, okay, yep, he is good, so that's cool. Okay. So if he can do that, absolutely. I would, just to answer your question really quick, if I was able to do that and I was able to ask somebody for anything, I don't know. It's like too much pressure. I think I would just ask for cash, just a nice, solid, enough where he would give it to you, but it's also pretty hefty. It's like,
what's my gift? I would like cash. Thank you.
Can you just give me $50K? I mean, seriously.
Jahmyr Gibbs said, I'm going to make him buy me a house.
Oh.
It's a thing. It's one thing. It's a house, right?
Yes.
So he said, I'm going to make him buy a house. In case you're wondering, last year, Jahmyr Gibbs had 945 yards rushing. So he almost got it rushing, and he had 52 receptions for a whopping 316 yards receiving.
Oh, okay. So the receptions is going to be a lot harder.
He has a long ways to go. I know he was working in the off season, trying really hard to get his route tree more advanced. They talk about how he's been even working on that in the beginning of training camp. They're really trying to get him out there. I think that's part of the reason the team felt kind of comfortable letting Josh Reynolds walk, is because they felt like Jahmyr Gibbs can be an additional weapon as a running back, whether he lines up in the slot. I don't think you'll see that very much, but running routes out of the backfield, it could be really, really good for him.
Okay.
Could be really good.
Dude, it's crazy how important this is. The more I think about it, because you're right, this coming out of the backfield, again, another weapon, but we need, it would be really nice. And we haven't had that. And, I think about like Theo Riddick. Remember how it was like, he was such a crutch / great thing because he was always coming out of the backfield, always catching it. But there is something about, man, getting the ball to a running back, especially Jahmyr Gibbs, in a different position. is like, yeah, please do that. Like he's so exciting and dynamic. So again, just all right, now he has the ball and he's in a different spot and then let him go is yeah.
Well,
We can do that.
and then you think about it, we always talk about 3 levels, right? Short, intermediate, and deep. When you have these guys for the Lions, there's 4 players, it's almost 4 levels, right?
Oh yeah.
You can have Gibbs behind the line of scrimmage short, you have Laporta short and intermediate, you have St. Brown who can go short, intermediate, or deep, and then you have Jameson Williams who thrives intermediate deep. And so you have all these guys that are stretching different parts of the field, and you can understand why this offense can be so dynamic. They have surrounded the pieces around Goff that you don't need a dynamic quarterback in order to be an extremely dynamic offense. And I think that's the thing that's amazing to me. But here's the truth. Catching the ball last year, he was okay. He wasn't great. Like, he didn't do a lot with it. That's where his game has to improve. I think he was better running the football, Jahmyr Gibbs, than any of us thought he would be. We all knew he'd be a pretty good runner. We didn't know he'd run with the power that he ran with. We knew he'd be fast. We didn't know he'd look that fast. But then we also all thought that he'd be like this polished, crisp route runner with great hands, almost like a wide receiver out of the backfield. He wasn't that. He was a good receiving back out of the backfield. But he was nowhere near like that Marshall Faulk, that Christian McCaffrey, these guys that have just been unbelievable catchers of the football out of the backfield, Austin Eckler, stuff like that.
Austin Eckler. And that's what
I know it's weird to add that.
But that's to your point. Only 5 guys have gotten 1,000 yards in a season. It's very difficult.
Imagine that. Like, look at that. Eckler hasn't even had 1,000 yards receiving, and that's just what he did. He had 92 catches that year. Like, I mean,
90. Right.
Look at McCaffrey at 5 in 2019. They both did it in 2019. McCaffrey had 116 catches. Is that the catches mark?
Yes.
Receptions? That's ridiculous.
Where
was he?
That is ridiculous. Yeah. So you look at like Marshall Faulk, this stat line makes sense. This one doesn't make any sense. 1958. We're not even going to count that. 51 receptions. And he's like, no problem. Just 21 yards a catch.
This needs to be known. 2019, Christian McCaffrey had the second most catches in the NFL that year.
Dude.
So it was the year that Michael Thomas set the record for most catches in a season with 149. Christian McCaffrey was second.
Oh my gosh. Even Le'Veon Bell down here. I mean, there's some bigger backs, but I mean, man.
Absolutely.
Kamara did it quite a few, or did it in 2017. Marshall Faulk did it quite a few times. So the top 25. Unbelievable.
Like, unbelievable. And think about what that offense did with Kurt Warner. Was Kurt Warner more mobile than Jared Goff? No. Right. And like, that was the most dynamic offense we had ever seen.
Yeah. So that 1,000-yard receiving is tough. But dude, even if he gets 600 yards, it would be like, let's go. So yeah, cool. I love the bet, but it's also like, I just love the idea of him coming out. Like you said, the levels are all there. We got everything covered on the offensive side. It's crazy.